Who are the best edge rushers in the NFL today? What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch here, back with another NFL rankings video, and in this video, I'm ranking my top 32 edge defenders in the NFL entering 2023. If that sounds good, you know what to do. Spike the like button. Don't forget to subscribe for more BLV NFL position rankings all summer long. And if you really enjoy what I'm doing here, the best way to support me, my journey as a content creator, and the brand, the BLV, is by becoming a BLV patron, where you're gonna get exclusive content, including discussions with guests evaluating all of my position rankings. Now, let's rank some edge rushers. Kicking off my top 32 edge rushers in the NFL. At number 32, SHAQ Barrett of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. SHAQ Barrett is coming off an Achilles tear. But more importantly, SHAQ Barrett just lost his 2-year-old daughter. An absolute tragedy. And his football career may never be the same because of the Achilles. But I want to give SHAQ Barrett a ton of love and appreciation for the player he has been. He seems like a great person, a great guy. He is a champion, 2-time Super Bowl champ, a great edge rusher, great finesse, one of the best run defenders in football even last year, ranking top 3 in run stop percentage for his football team and his position. Always sets the edge. That's why Tampa Bay's been so good against the run. And his savviness in pass rushing, stunts up front, working in tandem with the rest of his defensive line. He's become a leader of the Tampa Bay defense organization. He is a great dude. I wish him all the best, and I hope he can bounce back from the injury and the personal tragedy. It's really, really sad to hear about that, but SHAQ Barrett, one of my favorite guys for a long time. He comes in at number 32. At number 31, Harold Landry of the Tennessee Titans. Harold Landry did not play in 2022. He was injured before the season even began. But I still had to include him in my top 32 somewhere because he's that good and that impactful for the Tennessee Titans pass rush. You definitely saw the difference in the Titans defense. Their secondary slowly got picked apart throughout the season because they didn't have that reliable source of edge rush coming from Harold Landry, a guy that is a double-digit sack type of pass rusher. He will be back in his prime in 2023. A really good bend around the corner pass rusher, a really smart, intelligent player on how to set up tackles, and he's always been good in the run game as well. When he's at his best, I would say he's closer to the top 20 pass rushers in this sport, but we have to see him back healthy for the Titans defense before I can elevate him. But I've always liked Harold Landry ever since the draft coming out of Boston College. I kind of wish the Patriots would have picked him, but he ended up with Mike Vrabel. At number 30, Cameron Jordan of the New Orleans Saints. The vet is still on this list. Although he has slipped in recent seasons, I appreciate Cameron Jordan because he's still one of the most well-rounded edge rushers in football, always great against the run, and he plays a ton of snaps. So of course, his efficiency as a pass rusher isn't always going to be there at his older age, his explosion, all of that, but he leads the way. And he's a great power rusher. Ability to rush inside, rush outside, use his technique, his length, his power to get to quarterbacks, and still putting up 8 sacks, being one of the most effective run defenders in football, and being the leader of his defense. That's why he's number 30 on this list. At number 29, Sam Hubbard of the Cincinnati Bengals. Sam Hubbard has been hovering around this territory for the past couple of seasons. But I thought last year was his best, most complete year, not only as the steady Eddie of the Cincinnati offensive line, where he plays pretty much every situation, first down against the run, third down, sub-package defense. He does everything, and he does it all well, but he was actually his most effective as a pass rusher last year, putting up the most pressures of his career. He's never going to be a double-digit sack guy because he's not super bendy or super explosive or super athletic, but very high football IQ and really, really reliable for Cincinnati in all aspects of the game. He is a relentless player and a very, very steady defensive end for the Bengals. At number 28, UCHENNA NWOSU of the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks' best pass rusher in 2022, NWOSU, freshly signed from the LA Chargers, and he really had a career year, a huge breakout season. He showed nothing like this in LA. Maybe it was because he was standing up a little bit more, or they were utilizing his athleticism a bit better in stunts and blitzes, which is where he was really effective. I was watching Seattle play, and I thought that NWOSU was a safety because he's wearing number 10, and you see this absolute blur just all over the field, running around like a rocket, chasing quarterbacks and running backs and sacking the quarterback and always in the backfield. Relentless football player with a reckless abandon that anybody would love. NWOSU is the best pass rusher on Seattle, and I believe he could be even better in 2023. What a player. At number 27, Alex Highsmith of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Alex Highsmith is the next of the long line of edge rushers to play in Pittsburgh and succeed. Highsmith really had a breakout season last year with double-digit sacks, playing alongside or opposite TJ Watt, and even when TJ Watt wasn't there, he was still making an impact. It's actually funny, wearing number 56, how much he looks like LaMarr Woodley. It's actually kind of hilarious to me, but he is a guy that looks like a power pass rusher, but then you actually watch him and he combines good hand usage on the outside to dip and get around tackles with a wicked spin move. He has one of the best spin moves in all of football. He showcased that multiple times for multiple sacks, and I believe he is a legit number 2 to TJ Watt moving forward. That is a scary combination. At number 26, Brandon Graham of the Philadelphia Eagles. Brandon Graham took a step back in terms of usage and snaps in 2022. But man, did he deliver on those snaps. Another double-digit sack season, which is something that once upon a time, Eagles fans and NFL fans alike didn't think Brandon Graham was capable of, because he was more of that pressure guy, right? Pressure over sacks. Last year, he got the pressures, but he also delivered with the sacks in that historic sack season for the Philadelphia defensive line. Brandon Graham is just such a technician, such a pro, a smaller defensive end edge rusher that has unique power for his size, good quickness to beat guards inside, and just a guy that feels like he's always around, year in and year out, producing and coming through for Philadelphia on this defense. He's once again signed up to play next year, and based on his production, I think Philadelphia has a steal for one more season of the great Brandon Graham. At number 25, Khalil Mack of the LA Chargers. Once upon a time, Khalil Mack was arguably the best edge rusher in all of football. Now at his older age, he's not quite that, but what I will say about Khalil Mack is he stayed on the field last year. He played a ton of snaps, over 900 snaps for the Chargers. And for a player at his age, that's super impressive because not a lot of edge rushers, we just talked about Brandon Graham, are doing that. And he still plays at a high level in terms of taking over games occasionally with his pass rush and his power to get to the quarterback. His power is just unique. It's explosion, speed to power, suplexing and body slamming tackles into quarterbacks, just ripping them apart and grabbing quarterbacks out of nowhere. And his ability to set the edge because of that power has always been unique and special. Khalil Mack can still dominate games at his best, but there are more moments where he's not really visible. There's more moments where he's not the disruptor that he used to be, and I do believe that having Joey Bosa back will be very critical to his success in 2023. At number 24, Gregory Rousseau of the Buffalo Bills. Gregory Rousseau had a small breakout in 2022, but expect an even bigger breakout in 2023. This guy was super raw, like a ball of clay entering the NFL. He immediately made an impact as a rookie in flashes, and in year 2, he made even more flashes. The thing that I think stands out about Gregory Rousseau to make him potentially one of the best pass rushers moving forward is his length. His ability to use his arms to have tackles at a distance and then be able to maneuver them because he can get there first and then use his hands to be able to rip or maneuver past a tackle in the run or the pass game. So he can hold out tackles in the run game and set them up to move inside or outside. And in the pass game, he's able to use his pop, explosion, and arm length to get around them. And I think that he'll be a double-digit sacker next year in 2023. At number 23, Josh Uche of the New England Patriots. If we're talking about the best pure pass rushers in football, when it comes to bend, quickness, speed, athleticism, Josh Uche is top 10 without a question. He might even be top 5. He produced the highest PRP, pass rushing productivity, according to PFF last season. He had a double-digit sack season. But the problem with Josh Uche and the issue is that the New England Patriots don't treat him as if he's an elite edge defender in all aspects of the game. He is a wicked pass rusher with unique bend, explosion, and speed that you do not see from edge rushers, and it's a breath of fresh air for a New England Patriots fan who's used to seeing big, powerful dudes. This guy is slick and speedy. He's just not much of a rusher from the run defense department because they don't ask him to do that. So I want to see them put more on his plate moving forward, and then he can catapult up this list. At number 22, DENICO AUTRY of the Tennessee Titans. DENICO AUTRY is probably one of the most underrated football players that there is in the game today. DENICO AUTRY is a do-it-all defensive lineman. There's times where you could have ranked him as an interior defensive lineman in the past. There's times you could have ranked him as an edge rusher. He's played in a 4-3 traditional front, a 3-4 traditional front. He's played more of a 5-tech. He's played more of an edge rusher outside the tackle. He can do everything because of his size, but also his ability to utilize his body and stay flexible. And that's what enables him to be a bigger edge rusher that can move inside, have the power and strength to hold up guards and centers and play in the run game in the inside, and then also move outside and rush and actually get a little bit of bend around the corner. He's just an incredibly unique player with really, really good pop and power in his hands. I think he is an excellent player that suits Tennessee to a T. At number 21, Josh Sweat of the Philadelphia Eagles. Josh Sweat broke out big time last year. I think he's the best edge rusher on Philadelphia. He is just entering his peak, 11 sacks last year. And the thing that stood out to me with Josh Sweat coming into the NFL is that one quality that the best edge rushers have, and it's the bend. Josh Sweat has bend, and it's not like he's a smaller guy. He's actually quite big, and he's pretty good against the run. I think he really showcased his ability to be an all-around, reliable, every-down player last year for Philadelphia. Brandon Graham took the backseat. Josh Sweat got more snaps and therefore more production, and you just see him getting around the corner, bending around the tackle, and getting to the quarterback. That's what he does at a very high level. That's why he's at number 21. Entering the top 20 edge rushers in the NFL, at number 20, John Franklin Myers of the New York Jets. You guys know one of my favorites in the NFL, even though he's on the AFC East rival. John Franklin Myers is basically a top 32 player at edge or interior defensive line. It doesn't really matter where he plays. He's just that good. He has a unique profile and athleticism to be able to be one of the biggest edge rushers in football. He's like 6'6", like 270. There's not a lot of guys that can do that. And then also showcase quickness, showcase a pop off the line of scrimmage and a little bit of bend to get around the corner, and then move inside and not be a liability against the run. He's kind of like an Eric Armstead, but for Robert Saleh's new defense. He doesn't play as much inside as he used to back in 2020, but he can play everywhere, and that's what I really like about him. He's also one of the best edge setters at the edge position because of his size and power and strength. So that's why he's at number 20. At number 19, Aidan Hutchinson of the Detroit Lions. Let's be honest, like Aidan Hutchinson, based on the first half of last season, was not a top 20 edge rusher, but based on the end of last season and the projection moving forward, Aidan Hutchinson could be a superstar in this league. What shocked me was his instincts and his athleticism. I didn't think he was quite as athletic as he really showcased. I mean, I think he had 3 interceptions, which is dropping back in coverage, which is reacting to footballs in the air, which is tipping balls in the air, which is then you see him get around the corner and bend, then you see him hit a spin move to the inside, then you see him just power a tackle, which is the area where I think he could get a bit better, is just strength, play strength. I think he could get a little stronger with a couple years older, right? Man strength. I think Hutchinson could get better there, but man, this guy is just a playmaker. He has great instincts for the position, and I think he has the relentlessness to become a superstar at this position. At number 18, DeMarcus Lawrence of the Dallas Cowboys. DeMarcus Lawrence is arguably the best run defender at the edge position in all of football, leading the way with run stops last season with over 40 in 2022. DeMarcus Lawrence is another one of those versatile, do it all, whatever coach asks me to do, I'm going to do it well. Last year, he primarily played on the edge, but he has showcased an ability in certain game plans to rush from the inside. He's not the most bendy pass rusher in the world, but he's really good with his hands. He has really good length, which enables him to get around tackles, and he's one of the strongest, savviest at understanding positioning and the run defense department. DeMarcus Lawrence is a very steady football player at number 18. At number 17, Von Miller of the Buffalo Bills, one of the greatest pass rushers in NFL history. Von Miller will go down as a Hall of Famer, a champion, and a clutch performer. Von Miller is one of my favorites of all time because he is probably the guy that you look at when you talk about bend and turning the corner and getting low and getting to a quarterback and beating a tackle. That's Von Miller. That's the picture you think of. That's the example. That's the comparison everyone makes every year in the draft. It's Von Miller, Von Miller, Von Miller. But then Von Miller developed a power game that was unique to him, where he had that unique bend with extreme power, extreme quickness, and speed to chase down quarterbacks. He really had no flaws in his game, and even last year he was dominant in his performances for a new defense in Buffalo in a system that he's never really played in. So he's just that darn good. Now he's coming off a serious injury, so that's why I lower him a little bit. He is a little bit older now, but don't count out Von Miller. He is one of the best of all time. At number 16, Montez Sweat of the Washington Commanders. Montez Sweat is an elite specimen. Guy has great power, size, strength, speed, all of it. He looks the part. I mean, Montez Sweat is what you want in an edge rusher, and a guy that can play on all 3 downs, a guy that can play in every situation, never a liability in any department, really athletic to be able to utilize in stunts and blitzes, good enough to straight up beat a tackle, And then also awesome in the running game. He's just a complete player that I think probably goes under the radar because he plays for the Commanders. At number 15, ZADARIUS Smith of the Cleveland Browns. ZADARIUS Smith has moved to Cleveland to play with Myles Garrett and again become that number 2 Robin to the Batman. And last year, I don't know who was the Batman or the Robin, but man, the guy had a great season with Danielle Hunter, so I expect a lot of success in 2023. He's just one of the best when it comes to rushing the quarterback, no matter the system, the defense, the scheme, no matter if it's more of a blitzing scheme and he's utilized on stunts, no matter if you align him inside and he can rush the quarterback against guards and use his quickness, or he uses his power against tackles. He's just really good at finding the weakness of the opponent and then utilizing his skill set to be able to beat that player. ZADARIUS Smith is an awesome football player, and I think he's going to have another great year in 2023 to put the Browns over the top. At number 14, Jaelan Phillips of the Miami Dolphins, one of the most promising edge rushers in the NFL. I think you could argue that you could put him in the top 10 already, but I just want to see a little bit more from Jaelan Phillips before I do. But in terms of a skill set standpoint, I mean, I don't understand why this guy wasn't drafted in the top 5, top 10 of his draft class. Made no sense to me at the time, makes no sense to me now. The guy's got unique bend, he's big, he's powerful enough, he's got the mentality, he's explosive, fast, he can track down quarterbacks, he isn't a liability in the run game. Jaelan Phillips is just a complete football player already in like year 2 or year 3. They utilized him a lot inside, you know, putting him against guards to use his quickness and his speed. And then he's also, of course, great on the corner because he can bend around tackles really frequently. But he was really well utilized in blitzes and things of that nature. So I think that could continue in 2023. At number 13, Brian Burns of the Carolina Panthers. Brian Burns is the guy that, for whatever reason, analytically speaking, is not one of the community's favorites. Like, he never comes across as analytically the best. But then when you ask anybody that watches the Panthers or watches football, who's one of the best edge rushers in the NFL, it's Brian Burns. I mean, the guy is extremely athletic. Extremely. I mean, one of the most athletic players at this position in the NFL. His speed is outrageous. Like, there was a game against the Cardinals. He's chasing Kyler Murray down. He's faster than Kyler Murray. I swear to you. He's running him down. He's quick. And he uses that as a pass rusher. His quickness, he doesn't even get touched sometimes against tackles. He turns the corner with great bend. And he actually utilized more power in his game this year than we've ever seen. And he's becoming a better run defender season after season, on top of being the captain of that defense. Brian Burns is awesome, man. At number 12, Danielle Hunter of the Minnesota Vikings. Danielle Hunter had a huge bounce back season last year. And he's consistently been one of the most productive pass rushers in football. He's got just all the tools. Quickness, size, length especially. And he utilizes it to the best he can. I mean, he could probably play interior defensive line because of the length that he offers and because of the size. You look at the guy, and he's just one of the greatest specimens you've ever seen at this position. He's maybe not as explosive or fast as he used to be, but I think he's just become such a pro on how to utilize his hands and his length to beat tackles and opposing linemen that he's still one of the greatest in the game today. At number 11, Josh Allen of the Jacksonville Jags. Josh Allen had his best season of his career last year. An extremely slept on player. I think it's because his name's Josh Allen and nobody actually gives credit to the other Josh Allen. But Josh Allen's one of my favorites because he can do everything well. The guy drops back in coverage more than almost any edge rusher in football, and he can actually cover people. He's quick, fast enough, athletic enough to do that. That also showcases in his pass rush, where he's quick and he's got the bend to get around the corner and get to the quarterback. And he also has games where he dominates. And then he's somehow slick enough, savvy enough, and powerful enough to set the edge and defend the run. And of course, he has that just intelligence to be critical in their pass rush and stunt schemes. So Josh Allen, I think, is the most slept on player at this position that doesn't get enough credit. Entering the top 10 edge rushers in the NFL entering 2023. At number 10, Joey Bosa of the LA Chargers. Joey Bosa has been a perennial top 10 edge rusher, maybe even top 5 for the past, 5 to 7 years. Year after year, he's produced ever since he was a rookie. Now he's just getting injured too much. His body is too beat up, and it's hard to rely on him week to week, season to season, like you used to be able to. But when the guy's on the field, he's shown that he's still one of the best, highest win rate in the NFL type of guy at the edge rush position. Still putting up sacks and production and pressures and consistently being a problem. He's also been a really good run defender over the course of his career because of his power. He is known for his speed to power rush. And as long as he can stay on the field, I'm sure he'll get back into the top 7-ish. But I just wanted to penalize him a little bit because there's so many good players at this position that being injured definitely does matter to me a little bit. At number 9, Trey Hendrickson of the Cincinnati Bengals. Trey Hendrickson is one of my favorite players to watch at this position because the guy just does not care. He's all over quarterbacks. He's in the backfield constantly. Just turn on a Bengals game. He's relentless, plays with a reckless abandon. I think he's got a great combination of both power and then quickness on top of it. He's really a problem because every play, you've got to be on it as a tackle. Every play. There's games where it's just play after play. It's like Trey Hendrickson is in the backfield. Once again, last year, he had an awesome season in terms of pressures. And I think he's a little bit underrated because Cincinnati is known for their offense. Cincinnati maybe has other defensive players that gets credit. But Trey Hendrickson, I think, is the guy for this defense. Without him, their pass rush, their front is simply not the same. He is just a tone setter of a football player. At number 8, Rashawn Gary of the Green Bay Packers. Last season, in a small sample size, Rashawn Gary was absolutely dominant, even more dominant than the previous season where he was like a top 5 pass rusher in football. He was on pace to be better than that last year in terms of win rate, pressures, sacks, all of it. He was going off. Rashawn Gary is an absolute monster. The only problem he had last year was getting hurt. I think he was on course to be in that conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. Rashawn Gary is an absolute force. Super powerful. I think he might be one of the most powerful players at this position. And he's a problem, man, because of it. So Rashawn Gary, get healthy, and you'll get back in the top 5. At number 7, Haason Reddick of the Philadelphia Eagles. A pure finesse speed rusher that did it to his best last season. Haason Reddick was a problem last year. We saw that in the NFC Championship. He was the best pure pass rusher for Philadelphia last year. And because everybody is looking at Javon Hargrave and they've got to split their attention to Fletcher Cox or Brandon Graham or Josh Sweat, Haason Reddick is given more opportunities than elite rushers to have one-on-ones or even be blocked by tight ends. And he just took advantage of it time after time after time. Almost to a disrespectful degree, these coordinators and offenses are trying to block this guy, and it's just not even fair. He's so quick, so good with his hands. His ability to just get off the ball in a hurry and get to the quarterback is super impressive, and we know how athletic he is. I mean, the guy's played stand-up linebacker before, and he's not really that much of a liability in the run game either, despite his size. So Haason Reddick, elite football player, best season of his career. He's number 7. At number 6, Matthew Judon of my New England Patriots. Matt Judon is my number 6. He is the dude, the best player on the New England Patriots right now, the leader of this team and arguably this franchise. Matt Judon simply doesn't have a flaw in his football game. If you want him to beat a tackle one-on-one, he can do that. He can do it with quickness. He can do it with power. He can do it with technique. He can also be a part of schemes, rushing the quarterback, stunts, blitzes. He's athletic enough to both be able to wrap around, loop around, or just rush right up the middle. He's good enough and fast enough and quick enough to track down mobile quarterbacks in space. And then he's also athletic enough to drop back into coverage. He's powerful enough to set the edge. Matt Judon is like the perfect modern edge rusher for Bill Belichick. That's why he's number 6. Entering the top 5 edge rushers in all of football right now. At number 5, MAXX Crosby of the Las Vegas Raiders. MAXX Crosby is the most wear your heart on your sleeve football player that exists. I mean, this guy plays more than any other player. There are not edge rushers that play to the rate that he does. His work rate is absolutely outrageous. Like, he plays on all rundowns, all pass downs. He is relentless to the greatest degree. Like, he is a leader on the field. If you've ever seen one, he's a great story off the field. He's powerful. He is great with his hands. And the best, maybe, combination of pressure guy and then run defender. I mean, to lead the NFL in run stops one year and lead the NFL in pressures the next is just out of this world. MAXX Crosby deserves a lot more credit. At number 4, Myles Garrett of the Cleveland Browns. Myles Garrett, just another guy that you look at and you wonder, was this guy built in a factory to play edge rusher? Because that's exactly what he is. Fast, strong, powerful, quick, good length. Like, guy just doesn't have a sliver of fat on him. He is an outrageous athlete and arguably the most consistent edge rusher in all of football in all aspects of the game. Pass rushing, run defending, and really, they don't do a lot with him. It's like, okay, you're here every play and you're just going to rush the quarterback. The offense knows where you're at. They're going to double you all the time. You're just going to be Myles Garrett every play, and we're going to work our defense around you. I'm actually extremely intrigued to see how a more creative coordinator in Schwartz utilizes him moving forward, because he could put up the most sacks, most pressures, most production of his career in 2023 with just a little bit more creativity from his coaching. Myles Garrett is just so good. Entering the top 3, at number 3, TJ Watt of the Pittsburgh Steelers. TJ Watt was my number 1 edge rusher last year, and it's because he is the literal description of how to play edge rusher. Be a playmaker, man, in any facet. Run defense, pass rush, or coverage. TJ Watt does it all. TJ Watt forces fumbles. TJ Watt gets sacks. TJ Watt grabs interceptions, batted passes, makes some of the craziest plays you've ever seen with extremely high IQ and just gifted ability with power, quickness. This guy is special. The only reason he's not number 1 again is probably because of injury. When he was on the field last year, he clearly wasn't at 100%. I just hope his career doesn't go the way of his brother. I hope that he stays healthy. And if he does, he's on his track to make the Hall of Fame. At number 2, Micah Parsons of the Dallas Cowboys. Yes, the second best edge rusher in the NFL is a linebacker. At least that's what he was drafted as, which is extremely crazy to look at. But Micah Parsons is unbelievable. There's a reason that this guy is like the comp for Lawrence Taylor. Like, when people say, who's the Lawrence Taylor nowadays? It might be Micah Parsons, because his athleticism is just outrageous. His speed, his explosiveness is otherworldly. It's incredible. He just flies into the backfield, and he makes plays in the running game that you shouldn't be able to make. Like, the ball is over here. He, like, jumps, like, 3 gaps, and it's like, Dallas doesn't have a great run defense if they didn't have Micah Parsons do that crazy whatever that was. You know, and then his pass rushing, he uses power, which I think he's only going to get stronger converting full-time to edge rusher. He utilizes quickness. He utilizes bend, which is crazy for a guy that was a linebacker for most of his career. He had the most pressures in the NFL last year. He's an incredible football player. At number 1, I have Nick Bosa of the San Francisco 49ers. Yes, the best edge rusher in the NFL is Nick Bosa. Now, you could argue a few different guys, honestly, but Nick Bosa, to me, he just, in the run game and in the pass rush department, he's a complete player. He is so strong, so powerful, so explosive. His ability to just wreck an opposing offensive line on a regular basis in both of those facets is the best in the NFL. There's a reason the Niners don't get ran on, because Nick Bosa just bullies people all the time. Nick Bosa bullies people in the pass game. Nick Bosa is athletic enough to chase down quarterbacks in the run game, design running game. Nick Bosa is a beast. Like, there's really no other word for it. He is a beast. He is like a bull playing edge rusher. And obviously the speed to power is unique, the technique, but man, this guy is a game wrecker. The best in the NFL, deserves that spot entering 2023. Let me know your thoughts on my list. Gronk, spike the like button and subscribe if you haven't for more player rankings this summer. It's Mitch. Peace.